So I'm going to start off with some things that you don't have, but if you would like to draw, you are welcome to. We are going to do a couple more word problems specifically about this thing called perimeter and area. You've heard those words before, yeah? Perimeter is the distance around a shape. Okay? So for example, these black lines here that outline the shape, that would be the perimeter. If you were in the stadium, what would the perimeter of the field be represented by? The track. The track would be the perimeter of the field, right? In a sense. Okay. The area, on the other hand, would be the field itself. It would be all the grass down in the middle. The area is the amount of space inside the boundary of the object. Do you like how cool that is? It's like cross-hatched there, that coloring. It's just shaded on my paper. It's just plain. But it comes up there so cool. It looks like it's like plaid. So anyways, perimeter is always going to be something like you can walk the perimeter. You go around. Okay. The perimeter of my paper would be all of this, right, around the edge. The area is the inside. If we talk about the classroom, the perimeter would be the length of the walls. The area would be the amount of carpet we use. Okay? So, all right, this should match up with what you've got for the first problem. Write and solve an equation. This is the first problem on yours, right? A rectangular garden is fenced on all sides with 256 feet of fencing. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is draw a picture. On all of these ones, I always draw a picture because it's just easier if you can see what you're talking about. So what shape should I draw? A rectangle. Now, sometimes it gets a little bit confusing as far as which side is length and which side is width. It doesn't really matter which one you call the width, whether you go left to right for width or up and down as width, as long as one of them is width and one of them is height or length. Okay, so we know that we have 256 feet. We know that we have a fence that goes all the way around our rectangle. Yeah? Does that tell you that we're talking perimeter or are we talking area? We're talking perimeter. So, perimeter. So the perimeter is 256 feet, because that's how much fence there is. Yeah? The garden is 8 feet longer than it is wide. So if I label one side X, what is that telling me about the other side? It's not going to be the same. It's going to be 8 feet longer. So I'm going to call it X plus 8. Does that make sense? So here's my figure. There's part A for you. There's my figure. Now, I only have two sides labeled. Is that okay? Yeah. That's okay. But I need to remember that when I'm adding up for my perimeter, I'm not taking just two sides into account. I need to take 4 sides into account. So, if I'm talking about the perimeter, I have this side. What would this side be? X. It would also be X. So that represents 2 of the sides being added together. Then I have this side. Technically, I should have these in parentheses. And then what would this one be? Also X plus 8. Is there another way I could write this? I could say I have 2 sides that are length X and 2 sides that are length X plus 8. Does this mean the same thing? Yes. What do I set it equal to? 256. So here I have 2x plus 2x plus 16 equals 256. Or in other words, I have 4x plus 16 equals 256. Yes? Yes. What do I do next?
Divide.
Subtract 16. That gives me 4x equals what? 256 minus 16 is what? 240. Divide by 4. And what does x equal? 60. Do I get the same thing from this one? X plus x plus x plus 8. If I add all those x's, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 4x, isn't it? Plus 8 and 8 is 16. That's the exact same thing I had there. So I can get it from either way. So there was part B, either one of these equations. Actually, that's not an equation. It needs the equals 256. And then find the dimensions. Well, 60 what? 60 feet is one direction. That's my x value. What's this one going to be? 60 plus 8, right? Because the other one's 8 feet longer. Would be 68 feet. So which one's which? Doesn't really matter. I could just say 60 feet by 68 feet. But this is the width. And this one is the length. Because the length is longer than the width. So? Kind of funky. Okay, let's look at number 2. All right, so Claire bought just enough fencing to enclose a rectangular garden or a triangular garden. The two gardens have the same perimeter. How many feet of fencing did she buy? Well, what would I use to represent the perimeter of this of the rectangle? I would say 2 times what? 3x minus 3 plus 2 times what?
X minus 3.
That represents the perimeter of this rectangle. Yes? Or I could say 3x minus 3 plus 3x minus 3 plus x minus 3 plus x minus 3. It is equal to the perimeter of this. How do I find the perimeter of the triangle? 2x minus 1 plus 2x minus 1 plus 2x, right? One side plus another side plus another side. Can I solve this?
Yes.
2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Over here, what do I have? 6 x's. And then I have negative 1, and negative 1 would be minus 2. Can I do some more simplifying? 6x plus 2x is 8x. What's negative 6 plus negative 6? All right, you finish that equation. Sure. Running out of room, so I'm going to move up here. 2x equals 10. Is that right?
Yeah.
So x equals 5. Am I done?
No.
What is the problem asking?
How many feet of fencing?
How many feet of fencing did she buy? So what do I need to do with that 5? Plug it in. She didn't buy 5 feet of fencing. That would like be this wide. That's it. That's not going to enclose a garden. Right? So I need to plug it in. I can either find the perimeter of the rectangle or the triangle because it tells me that they have the same perimeter. So it doesn't matter which one I plug it into. However, if I plug it into here, I can't just do 3x minus 3 plus x minus 3. I have to do all 4 sides, right? So if I plug 5 in, 3 times 5 is 15 minus 3 is 12. So what is this side? 12. And if I plug in 5 here, 5 minus 3 is 2. So this side is also 2. So 12 plus 12 plus 2 plus 2. What is that? 12 and 12 are 24, 26, 28 feet is how much fencing she brought. Yes?
So, there's another question. Wait, so can you combine all of the 8x and input x and subtract 12?
I'm sorry, say that again?
So you do 8 times 5 minus 12.
Yes.
Still keep going.
Because that is a representation of this perimeter. Any of those. All right, number 3. Determine the length and width of the rectangle described. So again, I need to see a picture. Let's draw a rectangle. The length of the rectangle is twice its width. So think about that statement for a minute. The length of a rectangle is twice its width. Which measurement is smaller, the length or the width? The width is smaller. So I'm going to label my smaller side W. If the length is twice the width, what am I going to label the length? 2W or 2x if you're using x. That's fine also. So either x and 2x or w and 2w. The perimeter is 126 feet. So what am I going to do? 2 times the length plus 2 times the width is equal to 126. What if I don't remember that it's 2 times that? Well, I can go ahead and label these. And I can say 2w plus w plus 2w plus w equals 126. That equation means the same thing as that equation. Either way works. So I get 4w plus 2w equals 126. That's 6w equals 126. Divide by 6 and w equals what? 126 divided by 6, 21. Determine the length and width. What did I just find? The width is 21 what? Feet. What's the length? 42 feet. How'd you get that?
Just multiply that by
Because it said the length is twice the width. So double the width and you've got your length. So? Now I'm going to do one area problem with you. We're going to focus more on perimeter, but I do want to show you what an area problem looks like. Okay? Yes? It might be. I don't know off the top of my head. If so, there would only be one. Okay? All right, so area. How do we find area? We're going to stick with area of a rectangle. Okay? So we're talking about the area of a field. We can assume it's a rectangle. We're not going to get into area of a triangle or a circle or anything fancy like that. Just a rectangle, which is nice and easy because how do you find the area of a rectangle? Base times height, length times width, call it what you want, but it's one side times the next side, right? Okay, so the width of the field is 9 centimeters. Yeah?
Yes.
Do I know the length?
No.
So I'm going to call the length x. But I know that the area is 117. They say centimeters squared. You always have this little squared thing when you get to area. So what do I know? I know that to find the area of this field, I would need to take 9 and multiply it by x. And that's what 9 times x looks like. And what does it equal?
107.
So how am I going to find the length? Divide by 9. 117 divided by 9 is 13. Is that my answer?
No. Well, yes.
It is. because that's the length, right? It wasn't like this side was x and this was x plus 9. That actually is my answer in this case. So it's just it's just 13 centimeters. And I can always double check. I can come back here and say, okay, if this is 13, 13 times 9 should be 117. 13 times 9 is 117. Okay? All right, your homework, I believe, should have posted on Google Classroom for you. So happy studying.